a future, and it was something that he really wanted to emphasize.
Ilan came to visit me many times. One time after dinner, we went to my office, to my study, and while we were talking, his eye just moved and fell on a little ark that was standing on top of my bookshelves. And he stopped, he said, "Well, what's that doing here?" And I told him the story about the little Torah and how it got into this ark. And he was totally quiet while I told the story.
Hitler struck at them, again without warning.
The German invasion of the Netherlands started May 9th and 10th, 1940, and the Nazis were able to take over pretty quickly.
The Germans paraded down the street, and that was the first time I saw an adult man cry. I suddenly heard my father make a noise, and we were looking out of the window, and he was crying. I had never seen a man or my father cry. I was 8 years old.
The Nazis were meticulous in confiscating Jewish property, their homes, their apartments, as well as their personal belongings.
They took away my father's companies. There was a rule that Jews couldn't have silver or gold. We were allowed to keep one spoon, one fork, one knife, one teaspoon, not of silver or gold.
The restrictions that the Nazis placed were designed to take the Jews out of Dutch life.
We couldn't go into stores anymore. They had signs at the parks, no dogs or Jews.
They were no longer able to go to the same schools, so they destroyed their social environment, the political environment, their cultural environment. Every aspect of their life had been changed. They were no longer Dutch citizens for all intents and purposes. They were Jews.
My father knew already that something was coming. It was German and Dutch police. And then we were put on the cattle train. Doors were locked. I didn't really look very much at people because I was scared. I saw all these soldiers and dogs and things, and it didn't look like something friendly to me. People kept coming through. People I knew, friends of mine, family, acquaintance of my parents, they all came through. We said hello, we said goodbye.
Depending upon the whim of the Nazis at that day, it could have meant death. It was the luck of the draw.
And we were told that we would be separated from our parents. My father took me aside and said, "Well, I want you to understand one thing. From the time that we are separated, you're not just your brother's brother, but his father and mother too." And we came to Bергgen, Bלזן, the doors opened, the dogs again, the guards again. We were separated into units that would fill a barrack, two to a bunk. Above you and below you, people were sleeping and talking, and usually it was kind of dark because candles were only used when people needed them. So it was like living in a cave.
Bergen-Belsen in general was considered to be one of the filthiest camps in the whole system. People died of typhus, typhoid, tuberculosis. They died of starvation.
One of the people in the barrack was a Rabbi Simon Dסברג from Groningen in Amsterdam. He did many things in the camp. He was caught, for instance, at the crematoria saying prayers for the dead and punished several times.
We were living in Groningen. It's a town in the Netherlands. And my father was chief rabbi there. He was not only very busy in the synagogue, but he was also very involved with everything in Jewish life.
He continued being the rabbi of the people in the camp by his own choice. And that was quite a decision to make.
עד שהוא נחלש. כי הגרמנים גם אמרו לו להוריד את הזקן, כי הוא היה רב עם זקן, והוא לא הסכים. והם לא אהבו את התשובה הזאת.
His whole appearance made them angry.
He found out that I was going on 13. And one day he came to me and said, "You're going on 13, do you want to become a bar mitzvah boy?" I said, "Yes, but how?" He said, "Well, I'm going to teach you if you're willing."
A bar mitzvah ceremony is the event, is the day that a child reaches the age of 13 and becomes part of the Jewish community as a man.
Every morning at 4 o'clock he woke me up and took me down to the table, opened up a little Torah scroll, and we used to study from it. He smuggled it into the camp and kept it with him, hidden. One morning he said, "Well, the time has come." He had arranged everything. All the windows were shut off with blankets. There was a blanket on the table and the Torah scroll open waiting for me. A bunch of people were waiting there too, and he conducted a service, a real service. And when I almost got into the stage where I should read, there was a sudden knock on the door. Everybody froze. The rabbi went to the door and opened it, and there was my mother. It turned out that the rabbi found out where my mother was, and so they smuggled my mother from camp to camp. I ran up to her, and we were all crying, and so of course. I went back to the table, I read my Torah portion, I spoke my bar mitzvah speech. After a ceremony was completed, somebody gave me one little cube of chocolate. The rabbi took me aside and said, "Here's this little Torah from which you read. I want you to take it." I told him, how can I take a Torah? I'm a little boy. Little boys don't take Torahs. He said, "Well, just promise me one thing. I am probably not going to come out of here alive. That is why I want you to have this. You must promise me that you will tell the story. What happened here?" And he pressed this box into my hands, and I looked at him and said, "Okay, I promise."
My father died 2 days after my mother, on the 24th of February, 1945. He had no strength anymore.
Here, over an acre of ground, lay dead and dying people. You could not see which was which. This day at Bלזן was the most horrible of my life.
Ilan got up and paced the room back and forth, and he said, "Yויה, I must tell you something. My mother and grandmother are graduates of Auschwitz."
When he came back home, he said, "Rona, I saw something that really overwhelmed me." And then he told me about the little Torah that he saw at Yoya's home. And I asked him, "So what do you think to do with it?" He said, "I don't know, I need some time with it. But I'm thinking of taking it with me, but I'm afraid even to ask."
Some more, one sentence in Hebrew for Yויה. כל הכבוד, ואני גאה בכם. כל טוב, ונתראה אחרי נחיתה. We've got a great picture here of
Egypt and the Sinai Peninsula, and up at the upper left part of the screen, Israel. And we've zoomed into Israel here, where our world-famous astronaut Ilan Ramon is from.
Jerusalem, this is Houston. Please call Columbia for a voice check.
I would like to invite you to visit us here. I can assure you that you will find yourself among friends.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate the invitation.
Ilan said, I thought about this very much. I would like to ask you to give me this little Torah to take to space.
ועכשיו אולי אני אדבר טיפה על... אני אראה מוצג אחד שקיבלתי רשות מיוחדת. אנחנו בדרך כלל לא רשאים להראות, אבל המוצג הזה אני חושב הוא מוצג מאוד מאוד מרגש.
You realize the potential of this wonderful story of the Torah.
אני מתרגש שאני מחזיק אותו בידיי, וזהו ספר תורה קטן כמו שאתם רואים, שלפני בערך 60 שנה ילד קטן במחנה ההשמדה ברגן בלזן קיבל אותו מהרב של אמסטרדם, שלימד אותו לקראת הבר מצווה.
There was Ilan. There we saw him holding the Torah scroll. For a minute it escaped from his hand and kind of floated, and he caught it.
אני חשבתי שזה דרישת שלום מן השמיים. סימן חיים מן העבר.
I see it as a sort of a rising of the death of my father. He came alive again.
אז זה חוט וחבל מקשר מאוד מאוד מרגש, והוא כאן איתי בחלל. יויה נתן לי אותו, ואני מאוד מאוד מודה ליויה, ומאוד מתרגש לאחוז אותו פה בחלל, ואני חושב שזה מייצג יותר מכל את היכולת של העם היהודי לשרוד למרות כל דבר.
He thought he would show it to the world as a symbol of how a person can go from the depth of hell to the heights of space. I had finally fulfilled my promise to Rabbi Simon Dasberg in a way which I would never have thought it would be possible.
I think it was the most important thing for Ilan to show the world and to be in a position to expose this amazing story of surviving.
There are two dimensions. There is a sky and there is a heaven. The sky is a matter of height. A heaven is a matter of depth. Here is a combination of penetrating the skies and demonstrating the values, the heaven. And I think Colonel Ramon, who has had an eye for the depth, really created an unforgettable drama. There's something deeper than we think in us being what we are, in him being what he was and what he represented. And it's not only that a human being can carry a scroll, but his scroll can carry the human being.
Three main engines up and burning. 2, 1, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis.